All right, welcome back. Today's lesson is bar diagrams for dividing fractions lesson. So go ahead and set that up on the top line. And don't forget to add that date in the top right-hand corner. In the second line, you're going to write 6NS1. We're going to use models and numbers to divide whole numbers by fractions. And then on that third line, I can use a bar diagram to model fraction division.
All right, so you drew your big line across the top to separate your heading. You drew your line down to make your two bars or your two columns. In your left-hand column, all we're really going to write today is our topic, using bar diagrams to divide with fractions. Everything else, all of our examples are just going to go in that right-hand column. So it's going to be a lot in the right-hand column this time. We're going to start with an easy problem, some whole numbers, just to kind of show us what we're talking about. We want to show the problem 8 divided by 2, and we all know we're going to get the answer of 4. But we want a picture to help us model how to do it. And the way we do it is we start with a bar, and we want it to represent 8. So we're going to divide it up into 8 relatively equal pieces. So as evenly as you can. Mrs. King wants me to hurry up, but I like to draw my bars.
I would have not made those even.
And then we want to divide by 2, which basically means we want to take groups of 2. So I can use my colors or my shading to say, okay, here's one group of 2. And then here's another group of 2. And then here's another group of 2. If you have different colors with you, if you have colored pencils or markers, feel free to use the different colors. But if not, sometimes you have to get creative to make them look different. And then our answer is, how many groups of 2 were we able to make? Well, in this case, we made 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 2. So that's how we knew our answer was going to be 4. So we can model that kind of division. And now we're going to try the same thing with our fractions.
So this time we're looking at the problem that says 6 divided by 3/4. I know it's a ton of writing to get these steps down, but it's the only way you're going to remember what to do. So go ahead, pause the video, write down the steps, 1, 2, 3, and 4, even the blue writing at the bottom of the screen, and then hit play again, and we'll explain it all. All right, the first thing we're going to do is to divide the bar into pieces using the whole numbers, that first number that went in the problem. So and that's 6. So we need to make 6 equal parts in our bar diagram or our big rectangle.
So use that eraser where you need to kind of get the bar as equally divided as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be pretty close for you.
So now we have 6 equal spaces, and we need to divide those into 3/4. So we need to divide each of our 6 squares into smaller pieces using the denominator of the second fraction. So we've got fourths to do. 3 lines will give us 4 equal spaces. He's going to try to make them as even as possible. So we have 4 in the first section, 4 in the second section.
Straight lines are harder than you think on this thing.
Well, that's why you're drawing. 4 in the third.
So just as evenly as you possibly can. Hopefully you can do a better job than I can do at the moment. But each part got broken up into 4 sections because we want fourths.
And now we're going to have 24 total sections of our rectangle when we're done. Step 3 is we're going to shade in groups relying on what the numerator is telling us to do. So in this case, we have 3 as our numerator in our fraction. So we are coloring in groups of 3. So every 3. If you want to use those colored pencils, go ahead.
So we're trying to divide this up into groups of 3/4, so 3 out of the 4 pieces.
Based on what our numerator is telling us. 3 out of the 4 will get different colors or a different pattern when you're shading with your pencil.
So sometimes you can shade up and down or left and right. Some people will go diagonally. Some people will shade one group and then leave the next group blank. Whatever works for you if you don't have colors available to you. But you're just trying to make as many of these equal groups of 3s as you possibly can.
And then just like he did with the whole number, he's going to go back and count the groups of different colors to get his final answer. So we started with 6. We divided into groups of 4. We had 24 sections, which we shaded every 3. So 6 divided by 3/4 is going to give us 8. The pieces that are left over are your numerator. Denominator is the number of pieces in each colored group.
We'll get to that in our next example or one of our later ones. So it might feel a little odd that we divided by 3/4, but our answer got bigger. But think about that. Say that these were 6 candy bars, and each person was only going to get 3/4 of a candy bar. So it makes sense that we had some extra
It
pieces
will
we could
go
use.
further, right.
It'll be able to be divided up for more people because we're taking smaller chunks of it. So let's try another one, following our same steps that we wrote down.
So step 1, look at the whole number, create 8 sections.
So the first number divides it up. Now we take each of those and divide it up based on our denominator. We want to break them up into thirds, so we have to break each of these up into 3 parts, which means 2 lines.
That step 2 is the one that most of the students get confused. Please take the denominator. That's why you wrote down all those steps.
Hopefully you can draw faster than I can, or at least neater than I can. But this way you can kind of see how we break them up.
Then he's going to go ahead and switch colors, and he's going to start shading based on the numerator, and in this case, every 2.
So we want groups of 2 pieces. So I have 2 here, then I'll switch directions here, and I'll switch directions here.
Yeah, I like the other colors.
Just in case they don't have colors, they can see a different strategy.
I think I would do black and white.
So you're just shading as many of these groups of 2. So don't skip over any pieces, don't leave any. Each one should be part of one of these groupings.
Ooh, that looks beautiful.
I
And
thought it
now
looked
he needs
nice.
to go back and count to get his final answer. So 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, and so forth.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
And the answer should have gone up in this case, just like the last problem. So 8 divided by 2/3 is 12.
So let's try another one. 6 divided by 3/4. So you
Fifths.
should be thinking to yourself, what's my
Fifths.
first step? Sorry, 3/5. So first thing we do is divide it up based on the whole number, so 6 parts.
Second part, head over to that denominator. Each of our 6 squares need fifths or 4 lines. When he's done, he will have 30 total pieces. You're doing a fabulous job with your drawing.
Oh, that's so. I think this time I'll go back to using 2 colors for my shading.
No, do every other. We haven't modeled that one yet.
Yeah, but that's not going to work at the very end. So we broke it up into 6 big pieces. Then each of those got broken up into 5 smaller pieces because we want fifths. And now we shade them based on the numerator. We want 3 of those fifths together.
1, 2, 3.
So I'm going to shade in a group of 3. And then a group of 3.
Ooh, nice and fallish.
And then another group of 3. Hopefully you can switch colors easier than I can. Another group of 3. A group of 3. Another group of 3.
I feel like I'm doing nothing.
That's all right. You can mock my coloring. That's your job.
No, you should see what I would be producing. Are we left 30? No, we should have even 10. And then he's going to count them up. His 30 sections divided by 3 should give him 10 if he colored right. There you go. What do
We
you
get an
know?
answer of 10.
All right, what's left?
All right. Now we have 2 that you're going to try on your own. You're going to notice something special happens at the very end. It's not going to divide up quite as nicely. So when you get done shading them in, come back, watch us walk through the problems, and we'll kind of talk to you about what to do with those last little pieces. But see if you can get the problem started. Divide it up by the big number. Divide each of
And the
those by
denominator.
your denominator, and then shade based on the numerator. See how many whole groups you can make, and then we'll talk about that leftover part at the end. So hit pause, give them a try.
No
and then
cheating.
Hit play when you're ready to check your work.
All right, here we go. So we need 7.
Yeah, good luck with this one. 2, 3, 4, 5. That was fantastic.
It was
I could never do that ever again.
lucky. Now let's do fists. 4 lines, buddy.
This video is going to seem really long, but it's really just watching me draw straight lines.
I was thinking the exact same thing. We should have had these done ahead of time.
No, because they need to see us doing it, so they can see why we're doing it. So each one of these is being broken up into fifths, which meant 4 lines.
And now he has to shade every 2. The problem is that he has 35 sections, and 35 is an odd number and does not have a factor of 2, so he's going to run into a problem. What to do with the leftovers, sir?
And that's why we save these for the end. This is going to go back to that last rule that you wrote at the beginning of the video, talking about what to do with the leftover pieces.
That blue at the bottom of that screen.
And this is the part that people have trouble with when they're all done.
You're doing a fantastic job.
I thought so. I'm definitely at least the kindergarten or first grade level in my coloring.
Watch out, your twins are going to beat you.
All right, as Mrs. King noticed, there's 35 pieces, but if we're breaking them up in groups of 2, we had
One
one
little leftover.
So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, that was a 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 whole groups. That's our whole number. We had 1 piece left over. So
Now, we colored every 2 pieces, so I know the denominator is fifth, but it is not like addition and subtraction. Our numerator told us how many to color, so it's actually 17 1/2.
think of it as we have 1 out of the 2 pieces we would need to be able to finish out that last group.
So one
And that's
was
the hardest part is
shaded
that
after every 2
denominator.
parts. Yep.
Let's try. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to scroll down. There we go. So one last one, and I'll try to go
Super
quicker.
fast.
So this time we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish.
4 parts.
Those are going to be broken up into 4s. Okay. So we had 5 whole sections, or 5 big pieces, broken up into 4 parts.
Coloring every
Now
3.
we're going to shade them in 3s. So I'm going to shade in this 3. We'll make it Christmassy. I hate red and green together. Mrs. King really likes red, so she likes the red.
I
but
love
not the
red.
green.
The green, I don't know. Hard color to match with other things. All right, 20 divided by 3 gives us 2 leftovers.
So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whole
so
groups.
our 6 whole groups gives us 6 as a whole number, and 2 out of the 3 were colored. So we have 2 colored out of 3 pieces in a group, so it's 6 2/3.
That's the toughest part, is that denominator there. It's not going to be fourths, because we're not coloring in groups of 4, we're coloring in groups of 3. So we had 2 out of the 3 pieces necessary
So
to
you may
complete
want to go
that
back
last
to your
group.
notes and highlight, circle, star that last section that was written down on your notes.
All right, we'll practice this together in class.
Tomorrow.